What's it like to have dated all of my girlfriend's dorm roommates? My girlfriend told me that all 3 of her roommates are love-brained, girls whose lives revolve around romance. But she's the only one who actually has a boyfriend. They said, how could a woman who's been protected by an eagle ever fall for a sparrow? All of them still can't get over their rich, handsome ex-boyfriends. However, on the day I was about to celebrate my birthday, her roommate Freya suddenly exclaimed in surprise, your boyfriend's birthday is today too. Wow, what a coincidence, my first love's birthday is also today. Roommate Alicia was shocked. No way, my ex-boyfriend's birthday is today too. Then roommate Sophia teased with a laugh. What's your boyfriend's name? Maybe the 3 of you dated the same guy. My girlfriend said, George. Sophia stopped laughing. The whole dorm fell silent. Chapter 1. 3 ex-girlfriends and the current girlfriend all in the same dorm. When I realized that, even I thought the coincidence was so absurd it felt like the universe was punishing me for daring to fall in love. The day Willow officially became my girlfriend. She was in her dorm, wearing headphones, video chatting with me. We had just gotten together. It was that honeymoon phase when everything feels sweet. And the happy smile on her face hadn't faded all day. She looked nothing like the cold, quiet girl I'd met at first. But then, suddenly, a sharp scream came from her dorm room, filled with collapse and despair. Ah, he's dating again. He has a girlfriend again. I can't live anymore. Sobbing sounds. That voice, it sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place it right away. Willow turned to check on her roommate. The video on her side was a bit chaotic. I only heard another girl's voice, comforting her. What's wrong? Your first love started dating again. Come on, is that worth crying over? They might break up. Even if they get married, people still get divorced. You'll survive, the crying voice said. This time is different. He pinned that bitch's chat to the top of his WeChat. And even made a post just for her. He was so low-key when we were together. Why does she get a public announcement? Who knows what she did behind the scenes to make him do that? Shameless woman. Another voice chimed in. My ex-boyfriend's dating someone too, but I didn't cry. Just focus on stealing him back. It's not like I haven't been the other woman before. Once you've done it once, it gets easier. The unloved one is the side chick anyway. Need me to teach you how? I went silent. Not because of how insane their words were, but because both of those voices sounded way too familiar. Familiar enough that I felt like I knew them personally. I glanced at my phone, just in time to see new messages pop up. Freya texted, did you get a girlfriend? Crying emoji. What kind of person is she? Pleading emoji. I don't mean anything bad, but college girls can have complicated motives. Who knows what they're really after? Not as pure and sweet as we were in high school. Then she added, I'm not saying bad things about her. I'm just being honest. Cheerful tone emoji. Freya was my first love. We broke up not long after high school. It was a typical teenage romance. Once you're no longer in the same class, the passion fades. After graduation, everyone goes their own way. And there's really no reason to keep it going. So we naturally broke up. But things didn't end badly. We stayed in touch. Still chatted, gamed together. Sometimes even went out during vacations. If it were just the voice, I might not have suspected anything. But that crying, whining tone, it was just too similar. Even though we broke up peacefully. I'll never forget how, on the day we ended things, she clung to me in tears so badly that people on the whole street stopped to stare, and there I was, dragging her away. Afraid she'd run into the road and get hit by a car. Chapter 2. To confirm my suspicion, I cautiously replied, my girlfriend isn't like that. She's a really good person. The crying on the other end of the call, which had just quieted down, suddenly erupted again. At first, it was suppressed, like the sound of a boiling kettle. Then it burst out completely, like a rooster crowing, piercing straight through the ceiling. She wailed. He said his girlfriend isn't the kind of woman I said she was. He said she's a good person. He's never defended any other bitch like that before, never. I'm going to find him. He must be under her spell. The real him would never treat me this way. Willow thought her roommate had finally calmed down. She was just about to pick up her phone and continue chatting with me. But the next second, the crying got so loud again that she couldn't even hear my voice. I was stunned. My first love and my current girlfriend were really in the same dorm. The world could actually be that small. Then I heard another familiar voice say, don't go. In what capacity are you going to see him? Maybe he's with his girlfriend right now, spending a romantic night. What are you gonna do? Go there to swat mosquitoes for them? Her words were so venomous that Freya's crying immediately rose another octave. That sharp tongue, it sounded so familiar. As I was thinking, no way, it can't be her. I exited the chat window. The moment I did, I saw a red dot on another chat box. It was Sophia. She had sent, got a new girlfriend again. Congrats in advance, may you break up soon. What does she look like? Send a photo. After dating me, You still found someone else. What's wrong? Your standards dropped. Or your budget did. Then another message popped up. Does she know about me? Give me her contact info. I'll say hi to her. After all, I was the official mistress. And then, been the other woman once. Stole someone's boyfriend once. Never got caught. Proven record. Sophia came after Freya. After the college entrance exams, my family gave me a large sum of money to plan a graduation trip. That's where I met Sophia. We were on the same flight. She sat right next to me, because we were the same age, and she was stunning. She left quite an impression on me. We landed in the same country, and met again at a tourist spot. That was when I picked her up. Yes, picked her up. On her second day abroad. She had her phone and luggage stolen. I had friends in that country, so I helped her out and got everything settled. After that, she clung to me, and, looking at her face, I just couldn't bring myself to reject her. Sophia was breathtaking. Even in the entertainment industry, she could easily rank among the top beauties. Her tongue was sharp, but her looks made it all seem like part of her personality. No matter how cruel her words were, her beauty made people forgive her. Naturally, we ended up together, and spent 2 or 3 months as a couple. That graduation trip wasn't long, but not short either, and both of us knew it would end the day the trip did. It was a silent agreement, a romance with an expiration date. Just like Sophia said at the beginning, I'm still young. I haven't had enough fun yet. I don't want a long-term relationship right now. Let's just be together for this vacation. When it's over, we go back to our own lives. She talked about love like it was a one-time transaction, with a playful attitude, turning a chance encounter on a journey into a fleeting spark of romance. It wasn't about affection or genuine feelings. It was just to make her graduation trip more memorable, and I agreed. After all, I wanted to add some color to my own journey too. When the trip ended, I got off the plane and left, and even deleted all her contact information. The airport was crowded that day. Sophia didn't know her way around that place. She had no idea where I'd gone. Chapter 3. Now I was certain, 2 of my ex-girlfriends and my current girlfriend were in the same dorm. I felt like fate had decided to throw every cruel trick it had straight at me. But what happened next made me think this was more than coincidence, like someone had set up the whole thing. Another female voice came from the background. What's wrong with you guys? I could hear you all the way from the hallway. It's the middle of the night. Can you quiet down a bit? That voice sounded familiar too. I started to sweat. Even though I hadn't done anything wrong, Freya was still sobbing. She choked out. Did you hear what she just said? Was that even human language? It's easy for all of you to talk. You're not the ones whose first love is dating again. If your first love pinned another woman's chat on WeChat, and even defended that pretentious coquette against you, let's see how calm you'd be. You'd make a bigger scene than me. Who are you to lecture me? Sophia was texting me while saying to her roommate. Bad words bounce back. Curses don't work. You're just love-brained yourself. Don't assume everyone else is like you. I'm not the same. Sooner or later, I'll make sure I get what I deserve, a real place by his side. Then the girl who had just entered the room let out a mocking laugh. Her tone, familiar, cutting, unmistakable. I thought something major happened, she said. Turns out it's just another heartbreak. You got fooled by a scumbag, and you're still losing your mind over him years later. With that energy, you could have a dozen relationships if you wanted. Freya cried louder. He's not a scumbag. You don't understand him. He's different from everyone else. I love him. The new girl replied with biting sarcasm. You're a top-tier love-brained case. Beyond saving. Stop trying to talk to her. Guys, love-brained girls never end well. They only wake up after someone's chewed them up and spat them out. Freya snapped back, furious. Oh please, you're one to talk. When you got dumped, you cried by the bathroom sink with the water running for an entire month. We spent so much on water that the dorm manager almost thought we'd flooded the place. Why didn't you say this stuff back then? Stop pretending you're so rational and enlightened now. You were just as love-brained as me. What right do you have to act all high and mighty? The girl was clearly provoked. She let out a short, cold laugh. At least I didn't keep clinging after being dumped. I didn't beg to stay friends, or send long messages every day that never got a reply. When I break up, I move on. It's all in the past. It's not like I'm ugly or unwanted. There are enough guys chasing me to line up from campus to outer space. Did I go to a bar that very night without giving it a second thought? And the only reason I used so much water was simply because I love taking showers. I was speechless. The truth was, she had been crying secretly in the bathroom. The bar visit, just her getting drunk and sending me long, emotional essays and dozens of 1-minute voice messages. How did I know all that? Because I was sure, the girl speaking was my ex from college, the one I broke up with just this year. The chat record showed she had sent me a long series of messages only 20 minutes ago. Alicia wrote, "You're in a relationship now, aren't you? What's her game rank? Can she play on your level? Can she support you properly in duo queue? Has our little cat met her yet? That cutie always saw us as its mom and dad. I wonder how it feels now that its real dad found it a stepmom. Must be confused or scared. They say when parents split up, it's the kids who suffer. Once there's a stepmom, there'll be a stepdad too. I'm not trying to bother you. I just wanted to say I think our little one misses me. How about we meet this week? I'm not asking to get back together. Okay. I just don't want him to miss his mom too much. Maybe we could have a little reunion. Just the two of us, mother and son. Then she added, you even pinned her chat. That's cruel. You never pinned mine. After a while, another message came. Please, break up with her. Okay, I admit it. I just can't handle you being with someone else after we split. When I didn't respond, she sent another. Heartless man, reply to me. Give me a chance to kneel down and apologize. Because I was video calling Willow at the time, and her messages were so long, I hadn't seen or replied to any of them. Alicia was the very first person to message me after I posted my relationship announcement on WeChat. Her texts came fast and furious, walls of paragraphs flooding in until my head hurt. Then came a string of 60-second voice notes, soft and hesitant. When I converted them to text, they were all about my new relationship, pretending to be casual, just curious and gossiping. Alicia and I met during college. We had mutual friends and met at a birthday party. We exchanged contacts that night, and things just naturally developed from there. Among all my relationships, she was the one I dated the longest. Maybe because she and I shared the most interests and had similar ways of thinking. Everything we did together came from mutual enjoyment, not one person tolerating the other. Our time together was easy, natural, and balanced. But in the end, we still broke up. After all, we weren't at the same university, and since the capital is huge, it was basically a long-distance relationship. Of course, the real reason was our clashing personalities. Our mutual friends were baffled. We were so compatible, almost like two halves of one person. And yet we broke up because we were incompatible. But that's the thing, even the most similar people will have differences. And whether two people can stay together depends entirely on how they handle those differences. We had plenty of fights over our personalities. I refused to compromise, and she refused to back down, so we broke up. When it comes to love, if it doesn't fit, then just end it. I'm the type who selects, not changes. I have no interest in sacrificing myself for a relationship that's passionate but doomed. And honestly, that goes both ways, for me and for her. If one person has to keep suppressing themselves just to make it work, then the relationship will only end in an ugly way. I've always made sure to leave things on decent terms when breaking up. My parents raised me to always leave room in everything you do. That's why all my ex-girlfriends are still neatly resting in my contact list, still able to message me whenever they want. Chapter 4. I didn't know what to say. I'd clearly just dated and broken up normally, one relationship at a time, but somehow, with all of them ending up in the same dorm, it made me look like some kind of time management genius, a guy who dated an entire dorm's worth of girls at once, a certified scumbag. In the end, I hung up the call with Willow before she did. Later, she texted me, explaining everything again. She teased that all her roommates were love-brained, still obsessed with their ex-boyfriends after breaking up. I looked at her messages and said nothing. I didn't tell her that I was the ex-boyfriend she was talking about. When I told my buddy David about the whole thing, he stayed silent for a long time. Then he asked, "So, are you switching careers to write novels now? Is this the plot of your new story?" I said no. He went quiet again for a long while, then finally managed, "You'd better not let them all find out about each other. If they team up against you, you're done for." He continued, "Have you never watched those palace drama shows? If they think you've been stringing them along, they'll form a League of Ex-Girlfriend Avengers. And when that happens, you're finished." I paused for a few seconds, clinging to a shred of hope, but I wasn't stringing them along. I said, "I told them everything clearly." David sighed. "Ever heard the saying, all exes should be treated as if they're dead? Yours not only aren't dead, they're thriving, still active long after the breakup, all the way up to ex number 2, 3, and 4. George, that whole leave room in everything you do philosophy your parents taught you applied to your exes. It just made them think not being blocked or deleted meant they still had a chance. And that's how you ended up in this mess. I know you're not trying to be a scumbag," he said, "but your natural scumbag aura is leaking through. The universe gathering all your exes into one dorm is its way of turning this into a full-blown show. Fate isn't even pretending anymore, it just wants to watch the drama unfold." He laughed and added, "Bro, I'll just say one thing, if they start tearing each other apart, call me. I'll swim back from Iceland just to watch. If I told this story to anyone else, all 10 out of 10 people would think I was joking, post it online, and I'd get roasted alive as a lying scumbag fishing for sympathy. But in reality, if the truth ever came out, the one who'd get hurt the most would be Willow. She'd have to face all 3 of my ex-girlfriends alone, and knowing how vengeful they could be, I wouldn't be surprised if they joined forces to go after her first, and only then turned on each other afterward. Chapter 5. I met Willow during a volunteer event. It was love at first sight, deeper at second sight, and by the third, I decided I had to win her over. Willow was beautiful, standing tall and elegant amid the bustling crowd. Impossible not to notice. She wore a soft white dress that matched her gentle aura, her long hair falling over her shoulders. She looked like the quintessential campus goddess, the kind of beauty that imprints itself in your mind after just one glance. I couldn't help but look again. The crowd jostled her from all sides, and she frowned slightly in discomfort. That cold, distant look, like she kept the world 1,000 miles away, only made her even more irresistible. By the third glance, she was already walking up to me, asking for directions. I gave her a quick explanation, and before she could leave, I added casually, "Add me on WeChat. I want to pursue you." Willow froze. She seemed caught off guard, unable to keep up with how direct I was. She held her phone awkwardly, unsure what to do. Maybe she wasn't good at rejecting people, but I was very good at handling moments like this. When I meet someone who truly catches my eye, I never hesitate to take the initiative. If she says no, I move on. If she doesn't, then there's a chance. The only real regret would be not trying at all. While she was still hesitating, I continued. "If you don't want to add me, that's fine. Don't feel bad about saying no, just follow the route I told you." Then I added, "Here, take this umbrella. It's hot outside, and your skin looks a little sunburned. Consider it compensation for scaring you earlier." Willow looked at the umbrella I had placed in her hand, then looked up at me. After a moment's pause, she opened her WeChat. Chapter 6. After that, I started pursuing her. She, however, was always lukewarm, neither rejecting me nor accepting me. My friend said I was trying to force a fruit that wasn't ripe yet. That even if I managed to pick it, it wouldn't taste sweet, but I didn't see it that way. I've always believed there's no harm in trying. You don't have to force it. Sometimes, if you just keep reaching out, the fruit falls into your hand on its own. Besides, I wasn't exactly new to relationships. If Willow had truly been impossible to win over, I would have given up long ago. For someone so quiet and reserved, the fact that she often agreed to meet up with me already meant she had some interest. From the moment we added each other on WeChat, our conversations never really stopped. At first, I was the one always starting the chats. Later, she began initiating too, sharing bits of her day, random thoughts, small things. Then came the moments when I didn't message her, and she'd ask what I was doing. Little hints, subtle reminders that she wanted my attention. Her emotions became more expressive with me. And that meant one thing, she was falling. I pursued her for about 5 months. But it wasn't one-sided. After the first month or so of my persistent efforts, Willow began responding in her own way. By the second month, her coldness was gone completely. We hovered in that space, neither together nor apart, for about 3 months. The ambiguous stage, honestly. That's always been my favorite part of a relationship. That stage feels like the prelude to a harvest. Once you've won the person, sure, there's happiness, but nothing compares to that thrilling sense of anticipation before it happens. If love could exist without responsibility, I'd probably choose to live forever in that phase, just endlessly chasing, endlessly guessing, endlessly falling. Maybe that's why my friends always say I'm a natural-born scumbag, but I didn't see it that way. When some people claim they're just slow to warm up so they can keep a man hanging, all while dropping hints for him to spend money as a test, do they ever feel responsible for that? There's a saying online, if the woman pays for most of the dates and gives the gifts, then sure, I can be slow to warm up forever. But I never strung anyone along, nor did I make them spend money to prove anything. What does stringing someone along even mean? It means the guy confesses. The girl neither accepts nor refuses, keeping him in limbo. But did she ever confess to me? If I never confessed, how could it count as stringing her along? And since when was it a rule that the man had to be the one to confess first? Sure, my views on relationships might not align with traditional ideas, but I've always been serious about every relationship I've been in. Willow, on the other hand, was a bundle of nerves during those 3 months. She kept overthinking, wondering how far our relationship had progressed, and whether I was keeping her on the hook without any intention of actually dating her. She told me that during that time, her dorm mates gave her a lot of advice. Freya said, "It's been months and he still hasn't confessed. He's totally stringing you along. Guys like that are the worst. Ignore him, act cold and detached. Maybe he'll panic and come crawling back." In reality, after I broke up with Freya, she gave me the silent treatment for one night before sending me a tearful apology voice message the next day. Sophia said, "If he's stringing you along, then string him along too. Make him think he's not the only one chasing you. Post some vague messages about other guys being interested. It'll give him a sense of crisis." In reality, after I broke up with Sophia, she acted pitiful, saying no one liked her. No one chased her, that I was the only one who ever wanted her. She told me she'd rather be the other woman than lose me. Alicia said, "Don't take the initiative. When a woman takes the lead, she loses value. Wait for him to confess." In reality, Alicia was the one who chased me. Every day she'd ask if I loved her, again and again. Even after we broke up, she kept asking if I had ever truly loved her. Willow told me happily, but you know what? I didn't listen to them. After thinking about it for a while, I confessed to you first. Later that night, she couldn't hold it in and called me. She was standing on the balcony, away from the noise of her dorm, and said softly, because I figured, those girls don't even have boyfriends, so their advice is useless. What Willow didn't tell me was that she suspected those three were setting her up. Though they acted close, she could feel their jealousy. Ever since she started texting and calling me, the others would make snide comments, half jokes, half venom. They'd toss around lines like, "Don't be love-brained. A man who doesn't spend money on you doesn't love you. If you spend money on a man, you'll be cursed for life. Be reserved. Don't fall so quickly. Fall too soon and you lose your worth. A dumped woman is a treasure. Men will chase her outside. If a guy doesn't reply instantly, you're not in his heart." Or when she got a call from me, they'd all turn off the lights and go to bed early. 8 p.m. Lights out, we're sleeping. Don't make noise. Willow would ramble on, telling me all these little details about her dorm life. Those people's influence on her never lasted long. After thinking it over, I decided there was no need to tell her the truth. Better to just pretend I didn't know. Even if I did realize what was going on, what did it have to do with me? I wasn't the one who assigned them to the same dorm. It wasn't my problem. So why should I be the one to fix it? Chapter 7. Honestly, I already thought it was unbelievable that all four of them shared a dorm room and still hadn't figured out my existence, not even after I started dating Willow. After all, I still chatted with Alicia sometimes, and we even played games together with voice chat. I figured maybe they each had a bit of pride holding them back. They never mentioned my name, never brought up any details about me in front of each other. They only shared similar heartbreak stories, different people, same kind of pain. In short, all these strange coincidences had gone unnoticed until now. Reality, sometimes, is far more dramatic than fiction. I quickly tossed the whole thing to the back of my mind. I kept dating Willow the same way as before, same rhythm, same pace. I didn't go out of my way to hide anything. But I didn't go out of my way to tell the truth either. I knew the day would come when everything would be revealed. Unless Willow went her whole life without ever video calling me from her dorm. And soon enough, they found out. Chapter 8. My birthday was coming up, a week before the day. All three of them, Freya, Sophia, and Alicia, sent me messages almost at the exact same time. Freya wrote, "Your girlfriend isn't from your school, right?" Sophia wrote, "Hey." Alicia wrote, "Your girlfriend has a similar personality to yours, doesn't she?" They knew. Then Willow messaged me, "Honey, I'm downstairs at your dorm." As her message popped up on the screen, a chill ran straight down my spine. It looked like such a normal text, but in that moment, knowing what I knew, it felt hauntingly wrong, especially now that I was certain the other three knew everything too. I didn't know what they had talked about. I didn't know what they had decided. Rationally speaking, I probably should have broken up with Willow right then. Avoid the mess. Step away before it got worse. Because if I continued this relationship, I'd inevitably be tangled up with the other three again. And even from a logical point of view, I knew not every relationship led to marriage. The odds that Willow and I would eventually break up weren't low. But still, I couldn't bring myself to let this ridiculous situation end the relationship like this. So I went downstairs to meet Willow. She was standing under a tree, wearing a thin knitted sweater. Looked like she'd rushed out without grabbing a coat. Her face was bare, no makeup. Even the hem of her dress was wrinkled. She'd never come to see me like this before. She was always so put together, always perfect. It was winter already. I could see my breath in the air, and she was standing there, shivering, so lightly dressed. I took off my coat and draped it over her shoulders. Then I asked softly, "What was so urgent that you couldn't stop to put on another layer?" Willow handed me the dessert she'd been holding. Her whole body was cold, but the dessert was still warm. I took her by the hand and led her closer to the dorm entrance where there was heating. Then I gently took her freezing hands and tucked them into my pockets to warm them. Her eyes were red. Her lips trembled, as if she wanted to say something, but she couldn't get the words out. She just pressed her lips together and stared at me in silence. She looked hurt, really hurt. I figured the others must have bullied her. After all, she was my current girlfriend, and the other three were my exes, outnumbered. She never stood a chance, and none of those three were exactly easy to deal with. I asked, "Your eyes are red. Did they bully you?" Willow nodded. She didn't dare move closer to hug me, afraid her cold body might chill me too. So she just leaned her head gently against me. I didn't say anything, just wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close. After a while, Willow steadied herself and said quietly, I just missed you too much. She didn't mention what had happened in the dorm, didn't tell me what the others said or did. She just changed the subject and talked about random little things instead. We stayed like that for a while, chatting softly, holding on to the warmth. After some time, I said, it's too cold. You should head back and rest early. Drink some ginger tea when you get back. I don't want you catching a cold. I didn't think breaking up was necessary. Why should the past affect my present? Neither Willow nor I had done anything wrong. It was just an unfortunate coincidence, a shared dorm room, nothing more. Before she left, I told her to wait a second. I ran upstairs and grabbed a pair of gloves and a hat. I'd actually bought them as a gift for her later on, but now seemed like the right time. She was already wearing my coat. So I slipped the gloves onto her hands and placed the hat gently on her head, wrapped in my scent from head to toe. Willow looked like she was surrounded by my warmth completely, like she was walking inside the embrace of my arms. Her face turned red. I couldn't tell if it was from shyness or the cold. I helped adjust her battle gear, as I jokingly called it, then sent her off, thinking to myself, that'll really piss those three off. Chapter 9. When I got back to my dorm, it didn't take long before my phone started buzzing. All four of them messaged me at the exact same time. Willow wrote, I'm back at the dorm. It wasn't cold at all on the way. Freya sent, forwarded, in adult society, the most dangerous thing is a woman who takes the initiative. Be careful, it might be a trap. Sophia sent, it's freezing. I don't have a single thick coat in my closet. If I don't get one soon, I might not survive this winter. Alicia sent, I went to a tarot reader. She said the girl you're dating right now isn't your destined one. I replied to Willow first. The moment I hit send, the other three messages popped up again, one after another, in rapid fire. It was as if they somehow knew who I had replied to first, and they clearly weren't happy about it. Judging from the timing, I could picture the scene. The girls' dorm must have been a battlefield of silent fury. What surprised me most was that none of them seemed to plan on coming clean to me. I guessed that beyond the absurd coincidence, each of them was afraid that if they admitted the truth, I'd side with one of the others and abandon her completely. Chapter 10. Inside the dorm, an invisible war was unfolding, and unsurprisingly, there was only one winner, Willow. All they had to do was listen for whose phone pinged first. Whoever got the first message from me would know who I replied to first. Willow had gone out wearing only a thin sweater, but came back wrapped in a heavy coat far too big for her. Whose coat it was, obvious. She looked radiant, almost glowing, like she'd just stepped out of my bed instead of the cold winter night. Her happiness injected a charged, almost sinful energy into what used to be a calm, ascetic dorm. The three others, Freya, Sophia, and Alicia, froze. Their argument fell silent, their gazes locking on Willow as she walked in. Some stunned, some sulking, some glaring daggers at her. Even after she sat down, she didn't take the coat off right away. It was as if she wanted to show something, to prove something. Freya immediately turned the air conditioner to the highest heat. So you like wearing that? Huh? She muttered under her breath. Let's see if you can stand it. Willow didn't flinch. She calmly took off the coat, folded it, and placed it carefully into her wardrobe. Then, right in front of everyone, she recorded a short voice message. She sent it without hesitation. Who it was for, there was no question. Freya rolled her eyes and made a fake gagging sound. Damn, you're straining your fake voice so much it's about to catch fire. Who are you trying to impress? It's not like we don't have things our boyfriends gave us. As she spoke, she fiddled with the bracelet on her wrist, a bracelet she had begged me for back in high school. Back then, we weren't even dating yet, not even close friends. We'd started dating later, but didn't even make it to the next birthday before breaking up. That bracelet was the only gift she ever got from me, and the only one she still kept. The more Freya touched the bracelet, the sadder she felt. Tears welled up in her eyes, threatening to spill at any moment. When she heard the ding of a new message coming from Willow's phone, while her own remained silent, she almost burst out crying, to avoid an even more humiliating situation. Freya climbed into bed and snapped, I'm going to sleep. None of you say another word. If anyone talks, I'll post everything on the campus gossip wall. Then she turned off the lights, buried herself in her blanket, and typed furiously with red eyes, asking why she hadn't received a reply. The other three said nothing. At this point, there wasn't much left to say. All of this had started with one innocent topic, preparing birthday gifts. Freya had casually said, your boyfriend's birthday is on that day too. My first love's birthday is the same. What a coincidence. Alicia followed. No way, my ex's birthday is that day too. Sophia had laughed teasingly. What's your boyfriend's name? Who knows? Maybe you three share the same man. But Sophia didn't actually know George's birthday. He'd never told her. In fact, she didn't know much about him at all. He was her only contact left, and even that was one she'd begged to have restored after being blocked. She had already revealed everything about herself. But she didn't even know which university he attended. Willow, not sensing the gravity of the moment, replied casually, "George Wang." Then, silence. Sophia's laughter stopped instantly. The four of them sat together, cross-checking details one by one, and as unbelievable as it sounded, the facts lined up. It was the same person. Once the truth sank in, they all had the same thought. Should we tell him? But almost immediately, the same answer rose in each of their minds. No, they knew George too well. To George, the past was the past. He never let old relationships dictate his present. If he ever found out about this, he wouldn't hesitate to cut ties, and the ones abandoned would be them. Maybe he'd even delete or block their last means of contact. When they saw Willow suddenly storm out of the dorm, they debated whether to stop her from telling him everything. In the end, they held back. They'd already prepared for the worst. If the truth came out, fine. They'd just play the victim, act like the pretentious coquette, the one who did nothing wrong, and claim that Willow was overly possessive, too jealous, too dramatic, say whatever it took to twist things around, anything to drive a wedge between her and George. But the worst-case scenario didn't happen. Something even worse did. Willow came back radiant, eyes shining, cheeks glowing, and wrapped in George's coat, wearing his gloves and hat. She hadn't been dumped. She'd won. They would have preferred the disaster over this outcome. She went out looking pitiful, and came back with everything they still longed for. Chapter 11. Willow had gone out that night intending to tell George everything, but after walking a few blocks in the cold wind, she suddenly lost her nerve. They had only just gotten together. Compared to the others, she was the last to meet him, the one with the weakest emotional foundation. Now that she knew they had all been with the same men, every story they had once told her, every late-night confession about their ex-boyfriends, sounded completely different in hindsight. The more she thought about it, the worse she felt. She used to tease them for being love-brained, but now that she realized the man they were obsessed with was her own boyfriend, how could she possibly laugh anymore? She remembered Freya saying she and George had gone to the same high school, first loves. Even after breaking up, they'd stayed in touch. Then there was Sophia. Her relationship with George had been the shortest. But from the way she'd described it, it was clearly the most intense. So intense that she still couldn't let it go. Even willing to call herself the other woman, just to hold on to him. And Alicia, just thinking of her made Willow's stomach tighten. Because Alicia had been with George the longest, she started combing through her memories, recalling every small detail she had once brushed aside. Alicia had spent very little time in the dorm during her relationship, rarely talking about her love life. What Willow remembered most vividly was the night Alicia had broken up, the crying in the bathroom, the sound of running water, the constant worry that she'd flood the whole building. But after that breakup, Alicia started spending more time in the dorm. That could only mean one thing. She'd been living with George before, and hadn't she once mentioned raising a cat with her boyfriend? A stray they had rescued together. Willow scrolled through her chat history with George, searching for the mention of a cat. Sure enough, he had mentioned one early on, even sent her pictures. He'd said the cat was living at his place near campus. Willow let out a breath of relief. At least the cat wasn't with Alicia anymore. That meant there was one less thing connecting them. But she didn't let her guard down. Alicia might say she was over it, but her behavior said otherwise. And from everything Willow had heard, they had been a perfect match. Same interests, same hobbies, same rhythm. Their breakup had been caused by a single conflict. And if that conflict were ever resolved, Willow's mind raced with endless what-ifs. Now that the truth was out, she knew her 3 dorm mates all had their own agendas. Each of them wanted to reclaim what they had lost, and the first obstacle standing in their way was her, the current girlfriend. Willow didn't doubt George's loyalty, but she did doubt what the others were capable of, especially Sophia, the one who proudly called herself a pretentious coquette and bragged about being the cheating third wheel. If her stories weren't made up, she had probably started meddling during George's relationship with Alicia. Someone that skilled at playing dirty wasn't to be underestimated. Just then, Willow's phone vibrated. A new message popped up. It was from Sophia. Sophia wrote, "I think you'll want to see this." Then she sent several screenshots. They were from a group chat, a temporary one, created between the other 3. Freya was the first to speak in the group chat. She wrote, "Let's get Willow out of the picture first. Then it's every woman for herself. Are you really fine watching her dress up every day, strutting out to meet him, and then coming back flaunting all her little trophies? I've heard stuff about her. Willow looks cold and innocent, but she's not as proper as she pretends. I bet she's done sketchy side jobs before. There's Northwest way she got close to George with pure intentions." Then another message followed. "Who knows how low she can go? I heard girls like her, those nightlife types, just want to land a rich guy and will do anything to climb up. No shame, no limits." And another one. I know George. He's rich but naive. No life experience. Easy to fool. Getting tricked by some party girl like Willow is exactly what I'd expect. Sophia replied, really? She doesn't look like that kind of person. Alicia shot back, stop spreading rumors. Whatever's going on between them has nothing to do with me. I've already moved on. Freya asked, oh yeah, when you were with him. Did he ever pin your chat to the top? Did he ever buy you a coat? Did he ever give you a hat? Did you ever get gloves still warm from his hands? Did you? Sophia wrote, what exactly are you trying to do? Freya replied, let's join forces. At least drive Willow out first. Then, whoever wins after that, wins. Sophia responded, sure. Smile emoji. Alicia typed, I refuse. I'm not teaming up with a homewrecker who tried to steal my boyfriend. At that moment, Alicia finally connected the dots. Back then, Sophia had treated being a pretentious coquette, a proud, other woman, like it was something to brag about. She would openly talk about her techniques for keeping a man hooked, teaching them how to please him, how to seduce effectively. Sometimes, when the others helped her carry her packages, they'd find risque jewelry or revealing clothes inside. She would dress up flamboyantly, take photos and sultry mirror selfies, and send them straight to the men she was seeing. Willow had never been interested in those things. But she had a good memory, and when Sophia gave those little lessons, she had remembered a few of the tricks and even tried one or two in her own relationship. They'd worked remarkably well. At the time, none of them thought much of it. After all, the other woman had never been one of them. But now, the boomerang had come back and struck them all square in the face, especially Alicia. Realizing what had happened, she'd exploded, standing right there in the dorm, screaming at Sophia. Before Willow had returned that night, the two had already fought. Freya hadn't stopped them. She stood by the door, recording everything. The noise had gotten so loud that the girls from the next dorm came over to knock on their door before it finally ended. Sophia had walked away with scratches on her face, a huge deal for her. Since she'd always been proud of her looks, Willow could understand Alicia's fury if she found out that the other woman who once stole her boyfriend was the same person who had spent months teaching her how to seduce a man, how to please a man. She would have lost her mind too. Willow let out a silent, bitter laugh. She finally understood why Sophia had sent her those screenshots privately. Willow typed back, what are you trying to say? That group chat had been created by Sophia herself, but she hadn't said a single word in it. She had let the most impulsive one, Freya, jump in first, to charge ahead, to be the cannon fodder. Sophia sent another message. You saw what happened. I got hit today. Then another. You wouldn't even be with George if it weren't for me helping you, right? Can you honestly say you haven't used any of the tricks I taught you? And then, there's no need to treat me like your enemy. Your real threat is Alicia. George never had any real feelings for me. I was just too stubborn to let go. But Alicia's different. She and George dated for 3 solid years. She continued, out of all of us, Alicia's the calmest right now. Doesn't that say something? Maybe she's confident, too confident. Maybe she doesn't even take you seriously. Like you're not worth her time. Tell me, do you think she'll expose everything to George and use it as a chance to say something clever? Willow didn't want to admit it. But Sophia's words hit a nerve. 3 years. She couldn't just brush that off. She felt something ugly stir inside her, jealousy, resentment. Why was Alicia automatically considered the biggest threat? Why did she, the current girlfriend, still live in the shadow of that 3-year love story? Even now, Alicia acted like she didn't care. Like Willow wasn't even worth worrying about. Willow took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. She couldn't afford to let those thoughts take over, because that was exactly what Sophia wanted. Sophia was a master manipulator. The kind who could twist sympathy and shamelessness into weapons. She had worn the title of other woman like a badge of honor. Even after being slapped across the face by Alicia, she still had the nerve to come to Willow, smiling, and try to plant seeds of doubt. Someone that devoid of shame was capable of anything. Willow typed, what do you want? For me to give you another chance to play the homewrecker? Sophia replied, if you could, that'd be perfect. But that's not what I want. I just want you to arrange a meeting between me and George. A meeting. That was all she needed. For someone like Sophia, the opportunity was the only thing missing. She didn't need anyone's permission to steal someone's man. She only needed access. Sitting in front of her mirror, Sophia adjusted her hair and tilted her head. Her reflection smirking back at her. She still had the looks, the charm, the confidence. What she lacked was the chance to use them. George rarely agreed to meet her anymore. Sophia wasn't lying when she said George had no feelings left for her. Whatever spark they'd had burned out that summer. Snuffed out the moment she'd said something careless. Something arrogant and insincere about love. Willow replied, I refuse. I'm not teaming up with someone who proudly calls herself a homewrecker and spends her time trying to steal my boyfriend. Chapter 12. After that incident, Willow almost stopped staying in the dorm. She started looking for a place nearby, planning to move out. Our dates also became more frequent. She was clearly feeling insecure. On my birthday, after the morning celebration ended, I set aside the entire afternoon just for her. I invited her to my place and introduced her to my cat. She often mentioned the kitten when we chatted, and during our video calls, she'd ask me to show her to the cat. It was obvious she cared a lot about the fact that the cat used to be raised by both Alicia and me. Back then, Alicia always called herself the cat mom. She'd say the cat was her heart and soul, and even after our breakup, she'd keep bringing up how the kid suffers after a divorce, using the cat as an excuse to come over and pet it again and again. Willow got along really well with the cat. Alicia had always claimed that the cat didn't like anyone but her, and that if I brought another woman home, it would feel hurt. But in reality, the cat was loyal to whoever fed it. Within half an hour, it had already rolled onto its back, letting Willow rub its belly. The two of them looked as close as a real mother and child. I recorded a short video and took a photo of the three of us together, 2 people and a cat. Alicia asked for the pictures and the video. Right after I sent them, I noticed she'd updated her WeChat moments, something she never did before. The next second, I heard my phone ping with a message notification. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Willow watching my reaction. I opened WeChat. It was a message from Alicia. Alicia wrote, "You didn't let another woman meet my cat, did you? Answer me, George. I'll never forgive you, never." I casually replied with a random sticker, then decided to add fuel to the fire. I posted my own update on WeChat, showing off my relationship with Willow. After all, they'd both been bullying her. Chapter 13. When we took the cat for deworming, we ran into Alicia. Same old place, same fake coincidence. After all, she'd spent the most time with the cat. The moment the kitten saw her, it reached its paw out from Willow's arms, asking to be petted. Alicia naturally scratched its head with practiced familiarity, pretending not to know anything. She said in that annoying, falsely sweet tone, "What a coincidence. You don't mind if I come along, do you? It's been a while since I've seen the kitty. She must have missed me." Willow stayed silent, simply watching her act. I had to think of something sad just to keep from grinning like an idiot. Feigning innocence, I said, "This is my ex-girlfriend, Alicia." Then I turned to Willow and asked, "Do you mind? If you do, we won't go with her." That blatant favoritism nearly made Alicia grind her teeth to dust. She must have remembered the posts we'd made online. They had thrown that temporary 3-person group into chaos. Freya, as usual, went off the rails with her tantrums, while Sophia, surprisingly, didn't say a word. Maybe she was too jealous to even speak. Even Alicia herself had never received that kind of treatment. When we were together, I almost never showed affection publicly. Aside from the announcement the day we got together, all my later posts were just landscapes and selfies. She barely appeared in any of them. Of course, part of that was her own fault. She was always nitpicking, saying I didn't make her look good enough in photos. But with Willow, we hadn't even been together for a month, and my posting frequency had skyrocketed. Almost every update screamed we're in love. How could they not feel bitter? If everyone had been treated equally, maybe they could have comforted themselves. Oh, he's just low-key, not the type to flaunt his relationship. But why did things change with Willow? Why was she the only exception? And what did that make them? Props to set off what looked like true love. Alicia didn't want to admit it. But when she saw that post, something dark flickered inside her. The thought of joining forces with the others, to drive Willow away from me. Chapter 14. Willow thought for a moment before saying, "I do mind. I'd rather it be just the two of us." I could tell she was conflicted. She had probably wanted to appear generous and say she didn't mind, forcing herself to smile through it. But in the end, she couldn't. She did mind, deeply. Anyone showing up today would have bothered her, because this time was meant for her alone. It was the time I'd set aside exclusively for her. Why should she have to share it with someone else? I smiled and said, "Sorry, but this is our private date time." Then, turning to Alicia, I added, "Maybe we can meet another time. Or, since you said it's been a while, how about you spend some time with the cat alone later?" The look Alicia gave Willow could have killed her on the spot. She hadn't come for the cat at all. She came to ruin our date, to get close to me again, and to flaunt her past relationship with me in front of Willow. If she could sow discord or make Willow feel insecure, that would have been a bonus. But her little plan fell apart before it even started. My rejection left her, and the cat, and all the lines she'd rehearsed, standing right there in awkward silence. Chapter 15. Willow couldn't help but ask, "Will my refusing her make you think I'm a bad person?" She was afraid George would think she was too jealous. After all, George had known those women far longer than her, spent more time with them, built deeper bonds. Even if they were just his friends, their connection should have been stronger than hers. That's why she hesitated, second-guessed herself, and overthought everything. But what she hadn't expected was how George had taken her side without a second of hesitation. That kind of open, unreserved favoritism, how could her heart not flutter? Willow wanted to know why George sided with her so quickly, wanted to understand what he truly thought of those other women. Without thinking, I said, "If you'd agreed to let her join us, that would have been wrong. Love is exclusive. This is our date, and if you said you didn't mind my ex tagging along, who would believe that? That'd just mean you're forcing yourself to tolerate it, and when you're dating me, you don't need to do that." Her eyes lit up. She looked at me with renewed warmth. She leaned closer, pressing herself against me, voice soft but curious. "Did you date her for a long time?" I replied, 3 years. "Yeah, it was a long time." Willow gave a little hum, half jealous, half testing. "Did you love her a lot?" I could feel the resentment in her tone, but I only smiled and said, "I did, back then, but not anymore. Now, I only love you." Her cheeks flushed red, and before she could respond, I added, "You don't have to test me, Willow. If I still liked her, I wouldn't have broken up with her." Once a relationship ends, no matter how passionate it was, it belongs to the past. Going back to an ex is meaningless. It's not like there are only a few women in the world. Every time I end something, there's always a new story waiting. If I kept looking back, missing what's gone, my heart would have split into 18 pieces by now. Willow's lips curved upward. She was clearly delighted, but she still tried to hide it, denying softly, "I wasn't testing you. I'm not that petty," I said. "Admitting you feel possessive or jealous isn't a bad thing. Willow, we're in a relationship. Even if you're jealous or have those so-called negative emotions, they're just part of the spice that makes love richer. With me, you don't have to suppress yourself." Having her emotions seen through and named so openly, Willow no longer felt the sadness and bitterness she'd been trying to hold back. All those uneasy feelings simply vanished. Now, her entire heart and gaze were filled with me alone. That kind of open, unapologetic affection. It was as if my love for her was so deep that it could embrace every emotion she had, understand every insecure thought, and forgive every impulsive action. Only when someone feels completely safe do they dare to show their true heart. Willow gathered her courage and confessed, "Yes, I did get a little jealous." I stopped by the side of the road and gently patted her head. Then I asked, "How can I get rid of your jealousy?" Willow pressed her lips together and looked straight at me, her eyes shining like starlight against the dimming sky. She said, "Kiss me." So I kissed her, but just as I was about to pull away, she wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered, "Not enough." She was starting to push her luck now, like a stray cat that finally realized it was safe. She began to indulge in the warmth of this love, shedding her cautious shell and showing her sharp little claws. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of a figure, and this time, Willow didn't even try to hide her expression. She wore a bold, unmistakable look of provocation. Alicia was standing there, staring at us, her lower lip bitten so hard it had turned pale. Willow confessed to me about the other 3 girls in her dorm, as if afraid I wouldn't believe her. She even pulled up their group chat to show me. No one had spoken in that group for a long time. Judging by the date, the silence had started right around the time they discovered my existence. I looked up and saw the uneasiness in Willow's eyes. It made me want to laugh a little. What was she so nervous about? Didn't any of them suspect that I'd deliberately targeted their dorm? After all, the whole situation was a little too coincidental. It almost looked like a setup. I asked, "Did they bully you?" Willow froze for a second, clearly not expecting me to ask that first. Her first instinct was to say no. After all, she hadn't really suffered any major harm. But then she remembered something Sophia had once said in the dorm. Sophia had said, "Some girls these days love acting all tough and independent, like they don't need anyone's help. But it depends on the situation. Sometimes, showing a little weakness can make a man feel more sympathy for you, especially for someone like me. When a pretty girl like me cries a bit, he'll give me anything I want." So Willow changed her tone and said softly, "Yes." She blinked, trying to look pitiful, though she didn't have Sophia's acting skills, who could summon tears on command, nor Freya's cry-at-everything reflex. But then she remembered Sophia's lesson on how to cry. If you can't cry when you're sad, just pinch yourself, or keep your eyes open without blinking for a while, or poke them a bit with your finger, you'll tear up fast. Willow tried not blinking. Her eyes reddened from dryness, glistening faintly. She lowered her gaze, trying to look pitiful. She said, "They've kind of teamed up against me when I'm in the dorm. They isolate me. They tell me not to talk after 8 at night. They even made a separate 3-person group behind my back. They don't tell me anything and just shut me out. I'm scared that one day I'll forget my key and get locked out on purpose." To prove she wasn't lying, she showed me the chat history, the messages Sophia had sent her. As I scrolled through the chat, I wrapped an arm around her in comfort. Poor girl. When I handed her phone back, I kissed the corner of her eye. Then, while she was still dazed, I took her hand and said, "Come on, I'll walk you back." I'll stand up for you. Willow stared blankly at my back as I walked ahead. Her parents had been absent since she was little. She'd always faced everything alone. No one had ever stood in front of her to protect her. No one had ever loved her so fiercely. The sense of safety she'd been missing for over 20 years. Someone was finally giving it to her now. In that moment, she suddenly understood why people who get broken up with sometimes cling so desperately, even to the point of madness. Because once you've been loved and protected like this, so unwaveringly, so completely, how could you ever be willing to let go? Chapter 16. I walked Willow back to her dorm building. By coincidence, we ran into Freya and Sophia just as they were returning. Freya spotted me first, her eyes lit up instantly. She didn't even care who was standing beside me. She came running over like a stray dog that had just found its old owner. George. The next second, without any warning, she threw herself straight into my arms. Clinging to me, she rubbed against my chest and said in a syrupy voice, "I missed you so much." I frowned and pulled her off me. Sophia followed behind at a more leisurely pace. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small gift box. "Happy birthday," she said calmly. "I was going to have Willow bring this to you, but looks like I ran into you myself." She realized her little plan was no longer going to work. Originally, she and the others had schemed to team up, either to drive Willow away or to stir up drama between the rest of us. But to her frustration, both Alicia and Willow had turned her down first. Sophia thought the two of them were ridiculously petty and uptight. So what if someone wanted to be the other woman? If they didn't like it, they could just stay out of it. Why stop anyone else? Even if she ended up being the third wheel in their so-called love story, couldn't they just pretend not to know? Why insist on facing the truth and making themselves miserable? With no other choice, Sophia had teamed up with Freya instead. The two of them had spent an entire night plotting their little schemes, only for all of them to become useless now. Still, at least she'd gotten to see the men she'd been thinking about nonstop. And to Sophia, that alone felt like the one good thing that had happened in a long while. Chapter 17. Freya glared at Willow with open hostility. She said coldly, "Oh, Willow, don't tell me you're angry. George and I have been close friends for years. We used to hug all the time. You're not seriously mad about something that small, are you?" Willow gave a sharp snort. "Yes, I am mad. I'm jealous. I don't want you touching him, because your intentions aren't pure." Freya froze for a moment, then turned to me with a pitiful look. "George, look at her. We've known each other for so many years. She's treating me like this the moment she shows up. I've been with you since high school. What's wrong with a hug? Does she have to throw a tantrum over that? George, say something." I refused Sophia's birthday gift, then looked at Freya, crying and making a scene, and felt a headache coming on. Thankfully, the spot we were in wasn't too noticeable, and it was late enough that there weren't many people around the dorm entrance. Otherwise, being surrounded by three women like this, I'd probably be featured on the university gossip page the next day. I said, "Stop crying. If you make me famous with this, you won't get to visit the cat again." Freya immediately stopped her tears. She looked at the way I stood protectively beside Willow and whispered, "But I'm not willing to let go." Silent tears began to roll down her cheeks again, large and heavy. Freya said, "Why do all the excuses you used to break up with us suddenly not apply to her? You said long-distance relationships were pointless, but all the girls you dated after me were my dorm mates. Are they really that much closer than I am?" Back then, saying long-distance was just an excuse. The truth was, our personalities didn't match. Among all of them, Freya was probably the most straightforward. Whatever she was thinking was written all over her face. Even her attempts at manipulation were blunt to the point of being frightening. The real reason we broke up was because she was far too emotional. Every disagreement ended with her threatening to break up, no matter what the issue was. I always had to be the first to apologize, the first to bow my head. And even when she later realized she'd been wrong, she'd brush it off with something like, "A girlfriend can't be wrong. If something's wrong, it must be you misunderstanding me." Ironically, it was that same intensity, that stormy, unpredictable emotion, that had once made me feel a strange sort of tenderness toward her. Her occasional sly, flirtatious remarks had even seemed cute at the time, but in the end, it was exactly those traits that led to our breakup. Chapter 18. Sophia watched as I comforted Freya, leaving her completely ignored. A faint sense of loss settled over her. Freya, meanwhile, pitied herself. She'd had a short, reckless relationship with me back when she was still immature, and afterward, she'd been trapped in the role of just a friend, unable to move forward or let go. All she could do was watch, with growing resentment, as one woman after another appeared by my side. Because she could still stay friends with me after our breakup, she assumed everyone else could do the same. But that wasn't true. Sophia couldn't. Our communication had dwindled to almost nothing. Most of the time, it was just her performing a lonely monologue, trying everything she could think of to win me back, only to fail again and again. Every year, she'd try to find a way to see me. Every year, She'd hoped to spend my birthday with me. She wanted to know where I studied, where I lived, what my life looked like now. But none of that information ever came from me. She learned about me from other people, from Alicia, flaunting her stories, from Freya, gossiping without restraint, from Willow's posts, from everyone except me. Sophia always felt like she'd been paying off a debt, the debt of a careless remark she'd made years ago. She'd long forgotten what she'd said, buried beneath the passion that followed. The love that came after was so intense it swallowed everything else, made her forget herself completely, drowning in the dream I'd built for her. We traveled to many countries together. Sophia could afford her own plane tickets, but most of the expenses during those trips, the hotels, the meals, the tours, were all covered by me. She didn't know how to plan or handle anything. She simply clung to me. Those days were the safest she had ever felt in her life, wrapped in a sense of security she'd never known before. Even when unexpected problems arose, I always handled them calmly, efficiently. Sophia became addicted to me. Her love grew stronger and stronger, peaking right up until the very last moment of our final trip together. But by then, I had already decided to leave. When we got off the plane, I didn't say a word. I simply walked away. Sophia wasn't familiar with that airport, and with the heavy crowd, she couldn't catch up. Then she discovered I had blocked her everywhere. All I left her was one message. The trip is over. Thank you for the beautiful love experience. Maybe we'll meet again someday. Only then did she remember what she'd once said, and how arrogant, how foolish she had been. But it was too late. All she could do was create new accounts to add me again, to apologize, to beg. She had never once humbled herself before anyone in her life. She had never paid a price for her arrogance, until that moment. Nothing had ever felt more helpless than being abandoned alone in a crowded airport. Compared to the other three, Sophia was the one who got the least from me. If there had been no comparisons, maybe it wouldn't have looked so tragic. She could have stayed on her little stage, performing her one-woman show about stealing someone else's love, convincing herself she was still the star. If there had been no comparisons, maybe she wouldn't have seemed quite so pitiful. Chapter 19. After everything had been laid bare, they behaved themselves for only a few days before going back to their old ways. Freya texted me, "Handsome. New game season just started, want a cute girl to team up with. It's fine if you play with Willow too. I don't mind being a third wheel. Willow isn't that petty, right? Surely she wouldn't stop you from playing games with friends." Forwarded post, beware. A clingy girlfriend is not a good sign. Willow read Freya's message out loud, word by word, while holding my phone. I had my arms around her as we watched a video together. Finally, she lost her patience. "She sends you this kind of stuff every day, and you still haven't blocked her?" I tried to calm her. "Come on, she's not right in the head. I'm just afraid if I block her, she'll jump off a building." Willow snapped. "So you just let her keep sending things like that?" I said. "Then why don't you reply for me?" That was exactly what Willow wanted to hear. She immediately opened the voice chat and said, "If you keep pestering my boyfriend, I'll post your name on the campus bulletin." Freya waited a while, saw the voice message pop up, and happily tapped play, only to hear the one voice she hated most. Willow was about to close the app when a new message popped up, from Sophia. The moment she opened it, a string of indecent photos filled the screen. Scrolling up revealed even more, all kinds. No repeats. I sensed something off in how quiet Willow had gone and turned to look. She said evenly, "You really enjoy her outfits, don't you? You even replied to her before." She sounded calm, but I could tell she was furious. I said, "I only replied before we got together. Once we started dating, I barely talked to her at all. I don't have any dirty thoughts about her, though. If I was being honest, maybe I did. Back then, before Willow and I were official." Willow glanced at the timestamps and noticed that my most frequent chats with Sophia happened during our ambiguous phase, when Sophia was both trying to sabotage her and teaching her how to date me. And true enough, since getting together with Willow, I hadn't messaged Sophia again. Willow took my phone and sent a blunt, single-word message, "Get lost." Sophia instantly realized it wasn't me on the other end. She replied, "Willow." Willow decided she couldn't keep looking at that phone. If she did, another woman would probably pop up, and she might just land herself in the hospital from sheer rage. The other three could probably pool money for her cremation by midnight. And as if summoned by her thoughts, a new message arrived, from Alicia. "I'm picking up the cat tonight for a drive. The tarot reader said she's been depressed lately because she misses me." Willow replied, "Get lost." Alicia sent back a single question mark. Seeing Willow's dark expression, I couldn't help but laugh, shamelessly. I took my phone back, then changed the subject with a teasing grin. "How about you wear something like that for me? That way, you won't have to worry about me looking elsewhere." Willow pursed her lips. She thought Sophia's tricks were pathetic, cheap and desperate. Why should a real girlfriend imitate a side piece? It felt completely upside down. I coaxed her gently. Then just don't wear the same kind of thing. If you look good, no matter what videos or photos I see, I'll only think, none of those women out there can compare to you. Willow, half entranced by my words, nodded. Then you pick. I want you to choose my clothes yourself. That way, she thought, she'd be the most special one. I agreed without hesitation, and gave her a kiss as a reward. Her thoughts spiraled. At least for now, she was still the one and only. No one could take her place. Even if she was destined to be abandoned one day, she would make sure that moment came later, much later. She would.